Hello, tiny friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Pet Cemetery and the final episode for the front section. So that front section is finally done. 1 out of 3. I have 2 more to go. But first of all, I just want to thank you all for all of your ideas and suggestions. I made myself a list of some of the ones that I really loved, and I added a couple of my own. I feel like just those few little details just made it more. It just gave it that little bit of extra something that it needed. And I really hope you guys like what I've done and what I've done to the path. But I have a lot of work to get to, so I'm going to jump right into the video today. I'll meet you right back here in the end. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so one of the ideas in the comments were to make some trash, maybe some fast food trash. So I'm making some fast food packaging that has been tossed to the side of the road. Now, I try not to eat too much fast food, but I absolutely love Burger King. I feel like Burger King is one of the only fast food chains that still taste the same as it did when I was a kid. I just love their burgers. They still taste the same. So I chose Burger King, and right now I'm making a cup, and I'm just rolling the top of the cup down to make that lip that goes around the top of the cup. I did add a little bit of glue, and I'm just rolling it nice and tight and creasing it. I'm just making that little round lip that goes right around the top of the cup. Next, I'm going to use this paintbrush that's a little tapered at the bottom and just wrap the little printy around that, because we all know that these cups have bigger openings on the tops than the bottoms. So I'm just going to make some adjustments. I'm going to trim off the excess and glue it closed. Okay, for the bottom, I've traced the bottom of the cup, and I'm cutting a little bit larger than what I've traced, and this will be for the little tabs. So I'm going to make some tabs all the way around the circle, and this way I can glue this right into place into the bottom of the cup. I'm adding some tacky glue on the inside of the cup. I'm using my ball stylus to just push that down and kind of roll it around the sides where the tabs are, just to glue them down. Okay, I need to make a lid. So I'm using this frosted plastic. This was just some trash plastic that I had from a packaging. And I'm just going to cut out a circle. I'm not really going to get too precise with this, but I'm going to add a little bit of detailing. This plastic lid will actually be flattened and kind of squished inside the cup, but I do want to add a straw. So I'm adding a little bit of detail around it, and I'm going to cut the middle section where the straw can kind of fit inside. So I'm just cutting a little X. And now for the straw, I'm taking some regular printing paper and a red marker, and I'm just drawing some lines. I'm not really measuring the distance apart. I'm just doing a section of the paper, and then I'll cut it down where I like it. Before I cut it, I'm going to use my Liquitex matte varnish, and I'm just stamping it on. Once that's dry, I'm going to use some clear wax by Waverly and seal that up. I'm also going to apply the wax to the cup because they kind of have this waxy feel, some sort of waxy varnish on them. This will also help protect it when I go to dirty it up So now I'm just going to cut out my little piece, and I'm just choosing a section of this paper that I like. I'm using this wire to roll up the straw because it's probably about the same size in width. And I'm just going to add a little bit of tacky glue and roll it nice and tight, and try not to glue it to the wire. It does have a paper wrapping around it. Now I'm going to trim off the excess and roll this nice and tight, and then just slide the wire out. And there's my straw. I'm going to use my poker tool to poke through the hole that I made. It'll make it a little easier for the straw to slide through. Since it's going to be laying inside the cup and you won't really see the end of the straw, I'm going to trim it down some. And now I'm going to make a Burger King bag. So I've printed out another logo on a regular piece of printing paper, and I am just going to fold it up. It's been a while since I made a paper bag, so it took me a little bit of time to think about it and think about what I needed to do. But I'm just folding the sides in kind of like a fan or an accordion, and I'm just going to give it 2 folds on the sides. Now, if I'm making a paper bag that I'm going to be using as a bag or displaying it as a bag, I would make these sides a little bit wider. So the 2 sections that I'm folding on the side would actually be a little bit wider, and this would allow me to open up the bag a little bit more. So it would look more like a regular bag that you would be able to use or put things in. But since I'm just going to crumple this up and toss it in the grass, I don't need to use as much paper. So my sides look very narrow. The opening of the bag isn't as big or as wide as it would normally be. It looks more like an envelope instead of a bag, but it'll look like a bag, and it'll just be crumpled up and tossed on the ground. Okay, so here is an idea that I had, and I began originally with some cardstock, but I didn't like how it was coming out. So I decided to go back to what I knew, and I pulled out my little container of remnants and scrap cuts from previous projects, and I started fishing through to see if I can find some of the shapes that I needed. In the original movie, the family cat Church had already met his fate. And Old Man Judd takes Lewis Creed beyond the barrier to bury Church and lay him to rest, where the ground is sour and Church ends up coming back. From that point, Lewis finds out that Church is not the same and he's a bit of a, some sort of undead entity. But he has been seen trying to lure Church in with a can of cat food. So I'm going to make a little tin of sardines, the kind of tin that rolls back with the key. So I have picked out about 7 of these cuts. They're kind of like little rectangle cuts with round corners. And I'm just gluing all the pieces together. Now I'm going back in to see if I can find something that will work as the siding to the can. And I've got these 3 strips. I don't know how many I'm going to need, but I think they're going to work out. It looks like they're the same size that I'm going to need. So I'm just going to add some tacky glue onto the side and just glue it right to the bottom part of this strip. I'm going to let it dry completely before moving forward. Now, I'm not sure if this strip is going to be long enough, but it'll be okay if I need to add another piece. Okay, it turned out that one piece worked out, and there's just a tiny little opening right in the corner where they just didn't make the connection. But it's totally fine because I am going to actually cover the sides up. I'm going to use some aluminum tape, and I'm just going to cut down a strip and just cover up the outside of the can with this. I am going to use some tacky glue, even though the tape does have a pretty good sticky adhesive on it. I just want it to be more permanent. So I'm just tightly wrapping it around the tin can, right around the sides, and then I'll just fold in the bottom pieces to cover the bottom. You're not going to see the bottom, it's going to be glued down to the ground. I'm using my ball stylus to create some detailing around the tin can, the little ridges that you'll see on one of these cans. And I'm going to use my silver chrome marker to color the inside bottom and the sides. And now I'm just fitting a piece of cardstock for the top. I did decide to cover the piece up with some more aluminum tape. So once I get this covered, I'm going to trim it down. I kind of want this to sit kind of inside. Now I'm taking a piece of flexible wire, but it's pretty stiff, and I'm just creating a little key. I don't know what this wire is from. It's got ridges on it. But there is my little key. And now I can roll back the top. I've got some tacky glue on the piece of wire, and I'm just going to slide it right into that roll. And then it'll fit inside and look like it's partially open. Before I glue this down, I need to make some sardines. I used the same gray granite polymer clay that I used for the rocks, and now I'm just adding a little bit of silver chrome right around the top parts of the fish. And my little sardines. I'm going to add a little bit of black and then maybe a black eye. So I add a little bit of black speckling and a little eye, the little sardine heads. Next, I'm just going to use a little bit of tacky glue to glue these into place. And I also added a little bit of resin inside to keep these sardines from drying out. And now I can go ahead and glue the lid into place and dirty it up. I'm just using some antique wax. I used a little black on the inside before I added the fish, and now I'm just using a little bit of antique wax and a tiny bit of black to age up this can. Okay, I pulled out my bag of felt remnants. These are all the scraps and leftovers from previous projects, and I just like to keep this around. It's time to make my number one favorite detail in the front section, followed by the Burger King cup. And this is going to be a lost mitten. So I am drawing them in shape. On the outside, I folded over the felt so that when I cut it, it'll be a double piece that's connected. I'm just going to add some tacky glue and glue these two pieces together. I'm just going to fold over the top flap and glue it down. And I'm adding the glue on the side that I drew on, so you're not going to see that black marker. Once I get this nicely sealed and it's completely dry, I'll go in and trim it up a little bit. And I'm going to add an extra detail to this. I added some loose threads, and now I'm going to dirty it up with some washes, just acrylic paint and water. And I'm using several different colors. So I'm using some burnt sienna for the brown, a little bit of gray, a little bit of green, a little bit of black. And I'm just going to be layering these colors on. Let it dry completely. And this is so stinking adorable. Thank you so much for this idea. I absolutely love the lost mitten. How brilliant is that? The lost mitten. Kids are always losing mittens. You are so right. And I could not pass this up. This had to be in the project. I am so in love with this little mitten. Okay, a quick recap at what I have so far. And we have the Burger King cup, the fast food trash. The Burger King cup is my number 2 favorite little detail in the front section. I love how this little cup came out. So our fast food litter. Then I have a cola bottle. And my number 1 favorite detail, the lost mitten. We're going to take a good look at this. Isn't this so stinking cute? Oh my gosh, the lost mitten. I have a remnant of a disposable rag, and I actually did find this at a gas station in the grass while walking my dogs on a road trip. And the little sardine can that Lewis puts down for church. Okay, I want to make a couple more things before actually putting everything into the project. Okay, so this next idea is going to be some snakes. This is a wooded project. There has to be some sort of snakes, right? Now, I'm just using some scrap brown clay and it's actually the same Primo type of clay from Sculpey, but it is older, so it took a little more time to warm up. But I'm just going to make some snakes. Should be simple, right? I want to add a little bit of texture for the scales, so I'm just using the end of this tool just to make some impressions on both sides of the snake. Okay, they're all baked. I had so much fun making these that I could not stop, and they just kept getting smaller. Now, I'm not going to put all of these snakes into the project. I don't want the project to be infested with snakes, but I'll pick out a couple for the front, maybe a couple for the back area, and then I'll have some snakes if I need to use them for a future project. So I'm just going to paint them up, and here are my snakes. I swear they look like they were moving on me. They're a little creepy. I'm not really a snake fan, but when I was younger, I used to catch the baby grass snakes. And yeah, I had no fear of them when I was younger, but I'm not really a fan of snakes now. I don't really have a fear of them. I'm just not really a fan of snakes. Okay, last, I'm going to make some newspapers, an idea from the comments. And the original farmhouse in the first Pet Cemetery movie is located on the coast of Maine in Hancock. So I chose the Hancock Herald newspaper for that. I also chose a tribute to 9/11. And then the last one is the Bangor Daily News, and Bangor, Maine is where Stephen King resides. So in the project they go. Now, I should start off with laying down the grass to fill in the space, but I'm really excited about doing the path. So I'm going to work on the path first. I've already taken down some of these taller grass blades, these dried, dead pieces. I did agree that I had a little too many. I've cut some down, I've removed some, so there's not as many anymore. And now I'm going to fill in the path a little bit with some overgrown grass. And I decided to leave that darker sand as is. I'm not concerned about that because I'm going to be covering most of that up. So that's just going to stay the way it is. Okay, I hope you guys have really loved all of the final details that I made. I absolutely love the little details in the front section, the trash, the newspapers, the mitten. The lost mitten is absolutely one of my favorites. And again, I want to thank you all so much, because without your ideas and suggestions, it wouldn't have brought more life to this project. And that's what I feel like. It just brought more life to it. So moving forward, the next time I come back to this project, I'll be working on the cemetery. And there are so many details that need to go into that. You guys have no idea what that is. I'm going to try to make that out later on. That's kind of freaking me out. I feel like we got some sort of connection to the other side. That was crazy. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't even know what I was saying, but I'm going to continue on with the original video because I had to stop and put this in. That was crazy. And I've listened to it and I can't make it out because of the interference noise in between. But that was definitely different voices, and nobody's here and nobody's outside. And at first, when I was listening to the playback, I thought that that noise was maybe something that was going on outside, like maybe that was a lawnmower or something, but it wasn't. And then it just stopped. It's silent now. So, okay, going back. I'm going to really try to work on that and slow that down and see what the heck is being said and what is happening. Oh, gosh. See? It's happening as I'm talking. Like, I can't hear it while I'm talking. I can only hear it when I'm playing back. And I don't know if it's happening now or not, but okay. Weird. Completely silent except for Kiwi's nibbling on her seeds. So I won't know if that's happening right now until I go to play this back, till after I'm done. But okay, we're going to get back to the original video because it does stop in the original video. So happy Halloween. Ooh. So I'm going to be hand making most of everything that goes into that section. There's going to be a lot of Easter eggs in that section. There's going to be references to other Stephen King novels, references to other parts of other versions of the movie. And it's just going to be so much fun to create some of those details and continue on and adding another section to this project. I absolutely love how the front section has turned out. And again, those few added details in the end, I feel like it's just brought this project something that it really needed. So moving to the next project, that is coming up in the next video. Well, the intro will come up in the next video, and I am going to introduce what I'm working on next. I'm going to try to do it in one video. So we'll have an intro video and then we'll have the project video. And in the intro video, I will show you everything that I have so far for the project. what the project is going to be and why I've chosen to do this project. So, as always, I like to thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all for watching and joining me on this project, on my miniature journey. I'd like to welcome all my new subscribers. Thank you all so much for your support and all of your great stories and comments and kindness. And with all that said, until the next time, tiny friends, I hope you all have a lovely day, and I will see you all on the mini side. It's crazy.